Okay, hi team, welcome to your movement flow video. Today we've got a bit of a bias towards the outside of the hip and the inside of the thigh. We're going to start off with some kicking routine, so we're going to move into outside arcs, trying to get our foot nice and high. Don't worry too much about how it looks. I like to think I'm trying to hit someone's inside of the face with the outside of my leg. A little bit aggressive, and I'm no martial arts expert, but we're just trying to lubricate that joint, get some warmth into the body as we move up and around and through. We'll do the other side, same thing, we're going inside to out, big outside arc. You can lean back a bit, you can try and get that hip to come nice and high, trying to keep the leg relatively straight, so not bending the knee, and we're moving in a big, nice outside circle. Cool, we're going to go the reverse way now. We're going to come out to in. This one's a bit more awkward for me, but just trying to think of hitting someone on the outside of their cheek with the inside of your foot. Come all the way up and round. I'm just going to do 2 rounds, 1 of each. But if you want to, you can do another round on each side if you want to get a little more warm and getting a little more movement through the joints. Good to work on our balance of the standing leg. Try and stay nice and stable. This hip doesn't like to go this high on the side. But that's fine. Cool, we're going to work through our posterior chain. Some blocks are quite helpful here, but you don't have blocks, it's absolutely fine. You can grab a couple of books or even a step. You're going to bend your knees as much as you need to, so your hands are flat on the floor, and we're just going to gently straighten one leg at a time. You can go onto your fingertips, you can look through, and we're just going to straighten and bend, straighten and bend. Like I said, if you've got some bricks, it can be quite useful because it takes away some of that pressure. You can drop them down, go a little lower. We're trying to get nice and straight, trying to move through into as straight position as possible. We're trying to feel a nice diagonal stretch all the way through the back and the back of the legs. Look through the legs, breathe out if you can. Nasal breathing ideally, as we keep rocking back and forth. If you feel a bit more open, you can go a bit lower. And we're just trying to stay nice and connected to the floor. You should feel nice and safe. If you need to bend your knees more, that's absolutely fine. And then just as an extra safety precaution, when you finish, bend your knees first before you slowly come up to standing. Like I said, today we're going to do a bit of bias from the inside of the thigh. So if this is my half kneeling position, going straight on in the sagittal plane, we're going to come across into the frontal plane, we're going to go sideways. An extra little thing, you can flip that foot so it's on the inside, so you actually have the inside of the knee on the floor. So we're just going to go in and out. If you want to, and your knee's a bit sensitive, just grab a towel, make sure you're comfortable, because there's nothing worse than kind of feeling like you can't go into a position just because you're knee sensitive. I've had a couple knee surgeries, so I know what that feels like. Try and keep your torso relatively forward, and you can push across. If you need to take some pressure off, you can always grab a brick, or put your hand on your knee. I'm just going to move nice and gently in and out. We'll do the other side. I'm going to get rid of this. So same thing, this is going forwards, we're going to go sideways, I'm going to turn the inside of the foot, and we're just going to move down and across. We're getting some internal rotation and into the adductor here, as well as getting some hip flexion. You can kind of play around with the position of the torso, but try and make sure you stay nice and open. Try not to let that knee come in, because you'll feel that stretch much more on the hip, and you're getting that extra internal rotation and extension on this other leg. Like I said, you're more than welcome. I would recommend doing 2 rounds, but just for brevity, I'm going to keep going. We're going to try and activate the outside of the hip now. So one of my favourite simple ways, you're going to go into a tabletop position. Try to keep that leg roughly at 90 degrees, and we're just going to open up to the side. So we're going to come up and out, hold, and down, up and out, hold, and down. Trying to do our best not to twist the hip, so we're trying not to come open, we're trying to be nice and flat, come out to the side, pause, and slowly come down. I like to think it's like a dog peeing, lifting their leg up, coming down. We're trying not to bend the elbows, we're trying to keep the elbows nice and straight. As we come down and up, you should start feeling it on the outside of the hip as you work that position. We'll switch sides. Same thing, out to the side, pause, and down. Trying to keep that leg at 90 as opposed to shortening the lever. I'm going to keep it at 90, down, up, pause, and down. We'll do a few more. A nice place to practice your flat back position. Trying to make sure we're neutral in the spine, not hunched over, and not too overextended either. Just nice and flat as we work through the outside of that hip. Oh, the glute's quite tight on this side. Good. We are going to go into that straight half kneeling position. We're going to do a very simple stretch. Opposite hand to the leg that's up. I'm going to grab that wrist. I'm going to reach it up, and we're just going to pull it over. You can either hold in this position if this feels good, or we can come out, pull a bit more, and you're just trying to relax the arm. This is going to help just get you a bit more extra length. Something to think about is that glute. You want to keep that pelvis slightly tucked, not aggressively so. Let go of the glute, but you don't want to be massively extended and kind of moving along. We're going to imagine the same thing, 2 panes of glass, moving across the body and up, across the body and up. We'll do the other side. Same thing, keep that pelvis slightly tucked, reaching up and across, grabbing the wrist, relaxing that right hand, trying to pull up and over. We get a bit of a lat stretch as well. Trying to breathe out as we get a little more open, reaching up and over. Nice. When it comes to standing, good thing to work on our balance of the single leg. We're going to work on some hip flexion work. So we're going to lift the knee as high up as possible without arching through the spine, going all the way up. And if this is easy for you, you can just create a little bit of pressure down, keeping the head nice and tall. We're going to hold, and we're going to alternate. So we'll switch to the other side, lifting all the way up, working on that straight leg on this side. If that's easy, you can push down and come down. Really good thing. If you do any kind of squat patterning work or any kind of running, being able to actively drive that knee into the sky, it's really important to maintain the health of that hip flexor, but also, most importantly, protect our lumbar spine, protect our back in these positions. Nice and tall, come down, reaching up, make sure that standing leg is straight, lock out that knee, squeeze that quad. We'll do one more on each side. Good, 2, 1, good, one more, up, 3, 2, 1. Just to work on some knee flexion, we're going to go into a really simple, I call it like a ballerina squat. We're going to come up onto the toe and let the knees go over the toe as much as possible. So we're trying to really get as much knee flexion and our torso can stay upright. This is great, works into the bottom of our feet as well. We can come all the way up. We can stay on the toe, which will be a bit more tricky for balance, as well as trying to put that pressure on the fascia on the bottom of our foot, getting a nice stretch on and coming up. Or you can reset, heels can come down, let it come all the way through. Trying to get as much as possible with our knees over our toes, with our torso nice and upright as we come around through. We're trying to avoid kind of being in this flex position. We're going to try and stay upright, really work that knee over the toe position. I'm going to keep coming up. I'm going to do 5 more, coming down and up. I'll just rotate so you can see a few different angles. Nice, we're going to do 3 more. Good, last one, control down and through. We're going to come down, we're going to do a double arm lat stretch, Anahatasana for you yogis. We're going to try and reach our arms forwards, push down and drop the chest to the floor. So don't try and sit too far back, it's not a child's pose, but actually trying to reach. If our head comes to the ground easily, you just reach your chin slightly further forward. You'll feel this big active lat stretch as we come through. If this is really tight for you, you can grab a block, rest your head on something higher, but you're trying to not sit back in the hip. It's not this position over here. We're actually trying to reach forwards and reaching down. So we're coming all the way through, reaching up and forwards and down, and we're just holding. You can come in that position if you want to. If you find that quite pinchy on the shoulder, you can widen the hands, and it should help you, and you should be able to find the right kind of tension for you, so you get rid of that pinchy feeling. But we're just going to reach and come away. Make sure it isn't too intense, it's enough that you can manage. Last thing that we're going to do is a nice active lower back stretch. So I like to have it so that the knees are on top of the knees, the hands are on top of the hands. We're in this kind of 90-90-90 position, and all we're going to do is open and close. So it's a bit more of a driver, and we're trying to keep the hips on top of each other. That's going to want to happen, but just keep that there, and we're just going to open, let the eyes follow, keep this actively on the floor, then come back down. It's quite nice if you actually have a little support for your head so that you can relax the neck, down and up, breathing out as we open through. We'll do one more, we'll fit in the other side as we come through. So other side, same thing, you don't need to break, you can just support yourself. 90, fist on top of fist, actively opening, a bit short spaces as we come up and round, through, breathe out, through, good, we'll do a few more. Nice. Okay, thanks for sharing your practice with me today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions.